Maybe humanity's time is over. Maybe it's their time.
I'm just going to start by saying congratulations for being part of the Apple universe and being one of their hit shows. So I'm just going to say congrats. And so we just screened season 3, episode 9. And for the three of you, was this your first time seeing it?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So what was, because the thing about it though is you're always watching this at home. You're not really ever seeing it on a movie screen, but the production quality, like everything about this show looks like a movie. So what was it like actually watching this on the big screen?
Go ahead, Enver.
Come on now. No. It was incredible. It looks beautiful, first of all. It's gorgeous. And just, I think Brad did a fantastic job. And I'm kind of really shocked how cinematic it was. The whole show has looked beautiful, but yeah, they really nailed it. And they nailed like all of the kind of human drama and the action. So yeah, I'm glad we were here instead of like, on the back of an airplane seat. Like not my favorite way to watch stuff.
Sure. So before we jump into I'm sorry. If anyone else wants to add.
Echoing everything. Good to see everybody. Thanks for coming out today.
Seriously.
You guys can be anywhere you want, and you chose to be here, so we really appreciate that. Candidly, it's probably my first time watching it fully ever. We see bits and pieces of it as you're filming, whether it be dailies, ADR sessions, quick rough cuts here or there. But this is actually my first time watching the show, its entirety and sitting through with an audience especially. And it was really special. I actually got pretty emotional watching my co-stars work. They're so beautiful, just incredible performers. And Enver and Erika, you guys are just splendid. I feel so lucky to be a part of this. So thanks a lot, Simon and Audrey Chana are the producers here. Shout out to Audrey. Long-winded answer, but just happy to be here. Thank you.
So, Simon, if you don't mind, I have a few questions for you because this is our first time actually talking about Invasion, and I kind of want to jump backwards. I have so many questions for you guys. I'm just going to a little time with Simon. So, when you first got to Apple and you pitched the show, did you pitch it as like a 3 or 5 year plan, or what was that like initial meeting like in terms of laying out what you were planning?
We talked about it as a 3 or 4 season arc. But we really focused on the first season, and a big part of it was even the first episode. The pitch to Apple was that it was War of the Worlds meets Babel, and that it would have, kind of what Enver was saying, it would have like all the visual effects and the action, but also real human drama too.
How has that initial ideas that you and David came up with, how has that changed during the making of the 3 seasons? For example, did all of a sudden you realize, this could be a 5-year show? Or do you know what I mean?
I do. We really focused on it season to season, though. I actually think we had a sense of the arc of 3 seasons and potentially a 4th, but we focused each season within that season and trying to tell a complete story.
Had certain characters survived longer than you expected based on performance? Like, how does that change? Because you wrote, what? Right?
Loaded question.
Because you,
I'll flip it a little bit because I would say, as an example, Enver's character was not somebody that we had conceived surviving past last season, and that was true for Jamila as well. For India's character past the first season. And sometimes actors would show up and just be so extraordinary and take on the role and expand the role beyond any of our wildest expectations. And it sort of demanded to continue to be told. And even flipped in the case of India to her perspective. Billy's character, Casper, was really the protagonist of that storyline, clearly in the first season. And she took it over in the second season, and then obviously is the only survivor from that storyline in this season. So there were definitely characters who would come in and surprise us, and would sort of demand in the level of the acting to sort of get more and say more, and us be able to play more in terms of nuance and dimension and the humanity of those characters.
why was it important in the first season to have like a group of kids, to the different groups you had in the first season? How did you guys figure out those groups? Why was it important for one of them to be a group of kids?
We're really, in that pitching it as Babel, the idea was, a lot of the time when you watch any kind of quote unquote global or invasion type show, it's told from the perspective of just an American, or it's told from the perspective of one guy, like the War of the Worlds book, like the War of the Worlds movie with Tom Cruise. And I really wanted it to be as representative as possible in every possible way: age, race, sexuality, nationality. And so within that, the idea of having a bunch of school children that really didn't have like a headmaster and doing a sort of Lord of the Flies part of the show was one of the first storylines that just came to mind when David Weil and I started working on it.
Shamier, you're the one person who has been in all 3 seasons, and I'm just curious. Can you sort of talk about the differences between the making of season 1, 2, and 3? If there was, you know what I mean? You're the one link to everything.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think each season, first of all, keep it simple. The location changes. I think that's been pretty profound. Got to travel all over the world, whether it be Morocco, whether it be London, South Africa. So that was something that was been, a beautiful evolution. But also seeing all these incredible actors coming in and out of the show, and I thought that's really, really incredible. Testament to our filmmakers, our creatives. And also the evolution of my character, which I think has been really, really interesting. In the first season, I spent a lot of time alone. Trevante was in the desert, and I'm acting opposite all green screens and things of that nature. And then as I slowly come back into the world, I get to meet these incredible people, through Trevante's storyline and meeting all these other actors. So it's been a beautiful, blossoming of a flower. And I think, as we dwindle down to the next seasons, who knows what will happen next, if we have a next, but it's been really great, and I feel very fulfilled walking in this guy's shoes. I'm making much sense, forgive me. But yes, it's been great.
One of the things for all 3 of you is, and we talked about it at the beginning, this looks like a movie. The production design, everything about it, the costumes, the sets, looks incredible. For all 3 of you, can you sort of talk about what it's like behind the scenes, filming a show like this, and the level of quality that is being put on screen?
Well, hi everybody, and thank you, Scott. Thank you, Simon, for your big mind and your world building. That's what it's like. You step into somebody's space, and David have created this way and this dream, and it's visual and it's big, and then you meet the people in it, and they've already prospered in it, and they've suffered in it, and they've worked through it, and I show up in Vancouver after they've traveled in it. So that's what it's like. For me, it was a big new experience, and I felt that in my life of having worked very long in this industry, to get a call from Simon to invite me to contribute and participate in something like this was a dream come true. And so I just tried to stay really still and learn. They had already set the table, and I had a lot to learn from them just by watching them. But I was lucky because I think for many of you, you hadn't met each other. And so I didn't feel like I was too far away from, I guess, bonding with them. But I don't want to say I was intimidated. I just said I just think I was just very curious about this part of my life and the adventure I was on. And so for me, it was like training day.
Man, this is definitely the biggest show I've ever been on. I think end of season 2, they built that town square to destroy it. You remember that? Man, they went in the middle of South Africa. They're building like a town so that they could basically mess it up. I'd never been involved at that scale, and it's really fun. I think as an actor, you're just like, I want to be in something big. When you're a young actor, you're like, I want to be in I want to watch stuff blow up. I want to watch them flipping cars. I want to watch the explosions. And, so for the young actor in me, this is what I wanted to get into it for, to kind of fly to South Africa and watch them build a city and then stage a big final confrontation in it. And So yeah, it feels really awesome, and I didn't feel overwhelmed by like any CG. Like they kept it really grounded. So I didn't feel like, although I'm sure you've had your maybe that all fell on you, but yeah, it was fun.
So, Simon, there's a question for you. The beginning of the show, you introduced the alien shard. And as far as I can tell, you haven't really revealed anything regarding where it came from or like the behind the scenes of it. And I'm curious, when you guys were developing the show, had you figured all of that stuff out? Like, had is there like a Bible that sort of has all that information in it so you know what you can and can't do?
There is a Bible that's got all that information in it. But certainly things evolved as we were making the show. And some things we would pursue harder than others. Some things we would leave behind. I mean, one of the things I love, I know you like me and probably like all of us is a huge Star Wars fan. And part of what I love so much about, I'm not comparing the two, but I'm telling you what my inspirations were growing up. What I love so much about the original Star Wars movies is sometimes they would mention something like Clone Wars they mention in New Hope, right? And I don't know that they ever had an intention of creating an animated show decades later that was the prequel to, an episode in the middle of a story. But I liked the feeling like there was a world creation that wasn't all paid off all the time, that there was a sense of texture. So the same way that as you're walking home or driving home today, you're going to see things out the window and you're going to not know the full story of that person. I love that. It feels very novelistic, like a novel, when I see it in movies and TV. And so we do have a sense of the grand design, but there are lots of details that are just thrown in as kind of red herrings or world creation without having to go super deep into that being a storyline.
Listen, I love not having all the answers. The problem is so many people want the answers to everything.
Yeah, I know.
But the fact is, if a character, how would the character find out? There's no one there who's going to. Anyway, we're off on a tangent. Are there any Easter eggs or things that have been planted that fans should look out for that they haven't noticed that you want to point out to them?
Fans today are very different than when I was growing up. They notice everything. And like
the star been in every season.
The star in every season. Oh, Shioli's star? Yeah, Mitsuki's star. Yeah, that's something that we really tracked. Mitsuki's glow-in-the-dark star on the ceiling. And then even into her childhood home when we go into her childhood home last season. But I do think that, people on social media and specifically Twitter X, whatever it's called now, they not only recognize every possible Easter egg, they make up a bunch of stuff that is way more creative and imaginative than a lot of the people that work on these shows. So I don't think I have any surprises that people haven't already unearthed or theorized about.
I love learning about the behind the scenes, the making of a show or a movie, whatever. So for everyone here, is there anything that you think would fans it'd be cool for them to learn, anything that like would surprise them to learn about the making of the show? Like if you could pull back the curtain, and share.
That's a good one. I feel like there's probably a lot. Think of a juicy one for you guys.
I'll let you think about. I'll just answer in our first season, we shot all over the world. Mm-hmm. So you were in Morocco for the most part. The kids storyline in London shot in London. The New York storyline shot here in New York. What storyline? And Shioli shot much of her storyline in Japan. And that was 2019. Audrey and I were just talking about this yesterday, I think. That was 2019 going into 2020. We were shooting in the spring of 2020 all over the world. And if you remember what happened in the spring of 2020, a little thing called COVID happened. And we just watched one city go down after another, which was obviously harrowing in the real world, but in the context of making a show about a global invasion that was taking down cities around the world that didn't care about borders or anything else, it was playing out in a way that was really eerie, beyond the way that it was obviously terrifying in real life. And so that was a sort of behind the scenes, timing-wise, that was very bizarre.
I got one. Anytime you see a scene online, Erika was phenomenal in this episode, but I will tell you, every time you see a scene that she's in, when we were shooting it, we were in stitches because she is like hilarious. So I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, wow, she is so powerful. And I'm like, but meanwhile, she's absolutely everybody around her is in stitches the entire time. That's my...
That's beautiful. Well, I am a clown, and you know, I have to say, you know, there's a lot of time you spend on this set. There's a lot of time you spend in the forests of Vancouver. This gorgeous, absolutely stunning, and the crew is working really hard on days that the rain is just taking us out over and over again. And to have people that you come to not only admire and know and tell your stories and get to know and then have to kill them, unfortunately. You know, it is what it is. But I have to say, did I say something wrong?
No, I'm just laughing because it's funny.
Okay, good. Okay, that is big world building. And I think the only way to kind of take it on is to remain human. And so you try to find things that you can do and talk about politics and the things that you love. And people know I do comedy. So it's really funny, like I said, that, you know, that Simon called me to do this. An extraordinary group and troupe of actors from around the world. It reminds me of when I started in this business and Peter Brook gave me a shot to do the Mahabharata. And I thought to myself, my God, I'm come full circle and I'm back to where I started and feeling totally brand new and a little overwhelmed that this wonderful opportunity has found me. And I'm really grateful. And all of you are extraordinary. Shamier, fantastic work. Gorgeous work. Enver, Gaul, all of them. India, extraordinary. So they have fantastic taste. And Audrey, I really thank you. You know, many times we set on set, but I just want to say that maybe that's what I'd find that people don't know, is that we're very human there, sitting there, all making these stories and playing house with a bunch of aliens.
Something fun. So obviously when you're making a movie or a TV show, they ship you out. You get put up in hotels and apartments. And so we got to stay in Vancouver, which was nice for me because I'm Canadian. And so I got to be home. And I was in my apartment and I'm there. This guy's in the elevator next to me. And I looked at him and I'm like, I think we did Invasion season 1. He looks over and he goes, yeah. And it was Sam Neill. So Sam Neill is my neighbor in my apartment building. And part 2 of the story is we're filming on the same studio lot. And so Sam is literally in one studio, like Studio A, and we're in Studio B. And I'm like, Sam, are you next door? You want to come by? And he comes by because in season 1, he's a sheriff. And in this new show he's doing, he's literally dressed as a sheriff. And so I think we sent you a photo, Simon, of a group photo of Sam Neill and the cast. But yeah, Sam Neill was my neighbor in Vancouver. It took me out to sushi and I'm still like, oh my gosh, you're a legend. But that's pretty fun.
That's amazing.
Going down the row, do you have a favorite scene or sequence? It's a 2-parter here. Do you have a favorite scene or sequence that you filmed on Invasion, or what's the scene or sequence that was a real pain in the ass to film?
So that fight scene thing, you know, the end, like he sees my character sees Gol get shot, and you know, I run. The character who I was fighting, he was so big, this actor in real life, and he was wonderful actually. His performance was great. Not really a stunt guy, because when we were going at it, he was struggling. And I was like, you know, we're trying to make it look like a struggle, dude. You know what I mean? But I'm really like struggling like physically with him take after take, and he's so much bigger than me. I mean, when he was pushing the knife at me, I'm like, I'm gonna die. You know, he was in character. He was too in it. And so we did take after take. And then at the end of the day, they're like, great. So now we're going to do the big scene with Gol. And I was cooked. I was fried. And I was just like, I got nothing. So that was a hard one, because I was like, the first take, I just literally, I looked at Brad. I was like, okay, let's not save that one. Give me another chance at this, because I was just gassed. That's mine.
Fantastic. Well, it was in a previous episode, and Verna is going on this big, on the tarmac to the plane, and there's been a shootout and that type of thing, and it was a very long sort of stretch walk to the airplane. And I honestly, I felt like a baller. I felt like a baller. I was like, Erika, don't blow this. Roll to this plane, look like a Mac, you know what I'm saying? Be spiritual, cult leader, all of that. I'm thinking I've come into my own. Oh my God. I have to say it felt really good, but it was tough because you wanted to get it all and want to take. You didn't want to blow it, you know? And so in a way you're in your head and you know, focus, but you're also like, make it look easy and casual. So I was, so I was really, you know, on the hook. But I have to say that I say it's an extraordinary experience. Like you, as you said, you kind of grow up wanting as an actor to be in these situations and you don't want to blow it. And that was the thing for me that day. And plenty of other stuff. Actually, everything was pretty tough, frankly.
Gosh, I none of it was really a pain in the ass for me because for the most part, I was just sitting behind a computer screen, if I'm being honest. But and it's really impossible for me to choose a favorite because it's been now almost 30 hours of storytelling and so many characters I love and actors I've come to so deeply admire and be surprised by over and over again in dailies and cuts. I think this season, I would say part of what was so exciting, and I don't know that I have a single scene that this is true for, was seeing all these different characters come together. I think like they've lived in these parallel storylines and there's been a little bit of overlap last season, but the design was always that it would be parallel storytelling. They would start to converge in season 2 and then they would fully come together in the 3rd season. And so to see these characters that were so distinct from such distinct worlds in whatever form that means come together, just watching the first few episodes that was true for, like 4 or 5, really 4 and 5 this season, 3, 4, and 5 episodes, 3, 4, and 5 were that was really a treat. Like watching those dailies and seeing these actors come together, it was kind of reminded me of Days of Future Past, where you're like, oh, there's young Charles and old Charles. I never thought that was going to happen.
You were involved in the X-Men movies?
Yes, I was. Yes.
What?
You are?
Yes. But it's that thing where you're just like, these people have never in my imagination did they fully live together. And then there they are, and they're human beings talking to each other.
Honestly, I think that's a big part of it, coming together with everybody, and such a gift to play this. And I think for me, it's so hard to pick one favorite scene or one favorite moment, but I think what was so beautiful about this show, my experience on this show, was being immersed into different cultures all over the world. You know, thanks to this show, thanks to Apple, I got to see places that I never thought I'd be able to see. And so living in these different places, Morocco, Marrakesh specifically, and you know, being with the locals and, you know, down to South Africa, just being embraced by these incredible people all over the world. Shout out to our crews, you know. Guys, it's like different crews all over the world making this show. It's like they all speak the same language of creativity and they all just get it. So really shout out the crews all over the world that brought this together. They're a big part of this and they really crushed it.
Something that I'm so curious about is certain episodes, it'll be, you know, Shamier, it'll be your character the whole episode. And like each episode might focus on one person. So I'm so curious for the actors, what was it like? I'm not sure if you were block shooting. I don't know, like what was it like if you were not involved in an episode? Were you, you know, still shooting on unit 3? Like what was it like behind the scenes?
Nuts. It was a lot. They were doing a lot of different shows at the same time, as I understood it, because there was, I think, one of the directors got sick for a while, and then, you know, there were a couple of things that were hiccups. But I thought that's what was extraordinary. Shout out to the crew, as you say. They kept it all going. And so in my head, I kept trying to keep, you know, out ahead a bit. But the truth is that sometimes you had 2 or 3 episodes in your head, and you're just trying to make sure that you don't jump too far ahead in your, you know, orientation, because you could be playing the end and you're not there yet. You haven't earned it. So that's what I thought was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think my experience feeling like I've from season 1 all the way to season 3, I think I was in a lot, if not everything, most of the time. But even when I wasn't involved, I still very much was a fan, and watching everybody work, being a fan of everybody here and watching their work. And also when you're not working, you're just, for me at least, sleeping. So it's not that, you know, fancy of an answer, but I get to, just enjoy my relaxing time, but also have to work on a lot of the stuff that the writers have given me. And I would say, back to the other question, there's a lot of emotional things you got to sink your teeth into. This is probably the hardest thing I've ever done to date, as it pertains to just kind of my emotional barometer for an actor. So most of the time that I had off, I was usually locked in and learning and reading and investigating and picking the brains of different individuals, albeit Navy SEALs and whomever else. So, even when I wasn't working, I was working, which is a gift, because sometimes you're in a show and you feel like I want more. And this show really filled me up and actually wanted more, So very fortunate for sure.
I just got to take the ride. It was awesome. I wasn't on a lot, and so I don't I don't envy you having to work around COVID, and then we had like some out of orders. But thankfully there are people who are smarter than me who are taking care of all that. I just go to the gym, and then I see Shamier down there, and I just turn around and walk out. I'm just like, great. I'm just working out nonstop, and this guy just does 2 sets. He's like, yeah, I'm good. So I mean, just try to stay fresh. But that's part of the job also. Part of the job is stay fresh, show up ready with your lines memorized. You know what I mean? And that's part of what you do as an actor. And you got to rest. You can't be going out all night. You just kind of sit down, sleep, and then show up ready to work.
I know none of you would have taken anything from set on purpose, but hypothetically, did any of you borrow anything from set with every intention to bring it back?
I did. I'm a nerd. I collect everything, and I'm always begging at the end of it, oh, can I have this? Can I have that? So I have the action figure from the first episode of this season. I have the, what do you call it, the thing that I stabbed Casper with, the shard.
Do you have an Excel spreadsheet of everything you have?
I don't have an Excel spreadsheet, but I do have a little cupboard with everything from all my movies and all my stuff. Like I'm such a nerd. I go to Comic-Cons, I do all that stuff. So I'm the guy that keeps things and begs to keep everything from sets. So yes, I do have a lot of stuff.
Just wonderful pictures.
The machine gun.
They still haven't missed it.
Yeah, I got it past.
How did you get
customs.
that through? How did you get that through customs? Where did you ship it?
Joking, babe.
Oh,
Joking. They counted every single one of those bad boys. Nothing got past them.
no. I mean, you're going to bring it back. Come on, Simon. Did you?
I'm a nerd writer, so like I have a lot of the Casper sketches.
Oh, sick.
Shamier, I definitely want to talk about season 3 because unlike the first 2 seasons, this season you're playing someone with PTSD.
Yeah.
You're playing someone who has seizures. Yeah. As an actor, you just sort of talked about that, but what was it like actually getting in that headspace to deliver the performance?
A lot of work. Like I said earlier, this is a gift for me to be able to sink my teeth into some real gritty stuff. I always try to find the simple way of just answering these things and not sound too actor or pretentious or anything like that. But a lot of reading and research. The way how I use my craft and the way I study things is I just watch a lot of the greats do it. So I watch on YouTube a lot. Just before scenes, usually I'm listening to music. People have headphones in most of the time. And music is a really an incredible gateway for me. Just kind of like drop in. And by dropping in, meaning just getting really focused. And just, allowing myself to be free on the day. Being free meaning just, not judging myself, making a fool of myself. And trust me, those seizure scenes are definitely can be awkward, but you're supported by the team. And yeah, it was when Simon told me, "Oh, this is your season." I was like, "Oh, I know." So back to my first thing is, just really hunkering down and focusing and doing as much research as possible. That's what I love as an actor playing we play people professionally, and I love the investigation process and just learning these things and doing my best to live truthfully underneath imaginary circumstances.
Erika, I definitely have to talk about Verna and your performance. What is it like playing essentially a cult leader and someone who really believes what they're saying, even though I'm sure it's what is it like playing, Verna and being a cult leader?
I'm a preacher's daughter. So I was raised by a cult leader. Not kidding. Both my parents were ministers. They're both orphans. And they spent their time in the Southwest, Gothic Southwest, where you do exorcisms and all these other things that are metaphysical and otherworldly around Navajo and Hopis and mestizos and German Lutherans thrown into a hot pot. So I feel like in my life, I've been kind of, in a cauldron of a space that was not necessarily just human. We lived in Arizona, up in Flagstaff, and that's where the Lowell Observatory was. They discovered Pluto. It's a dark city. They look at the stars. We looked at the stars. We laid on the car at night and to cool ourselves off, and shook a root beer soda up and put a pin in it, and then let it come in our mouths, and then looked at the stars. We're looking for our future, looking for other things, signs of life, depending on the kindness of strangers, all those things. And so I have a little piece of that in me, and also music and culture and all those things that I think that we're really starting to realize is what makes us connected, was represented in the cast, represented in the crew, literally diverse. Everyone on the set was accounted for. It was a very intentional set. And so to me, Verna steps into a space, or at least, that character that's played by me, that I understand. Now, I think that she's steeped in grief, deep sorrow, and it turns on her. I don't know if she's right. I didn't make that determination. I just wanted to make her accessible. And there's no doubt that, just like Shamier said, you stay a little isolated, and give yourself a chance to feel and have your own thoughts. But then I also tried very hard to connect to the actors on set, because I need to feel a little bit more, human connection, so I can not be too far gone. It's a long slog. And so I like I said, I just didn't want to get in my own way. I didn't want to overthink it, but I also wanted to be very thoughtful about it. And luckily, I think that my life prepared me, hopefully, to be honest and just sort of say that these things that she was thinking, the way she was thinking and how determined she was, comes out of a deep need before she even lost her sister, I think, to be necessary.
It's interesting because do you think that she realizes how dark the path she's walking down is, or do you think like she's just fully committed and she is, like lost in that pursuit of getting the aliens and to reunite with the loved ones?
Well, I had a chance to talk to Simon beforehand, and he explained her a bit, except he was really open to discussion. And I thought that was very generous. And so I'm not quite sure what I think. I think that I just took it, I just thought the page would lead me, the story would lead me. She's sad. She's sad. She's in deep sorrow, and she's angry. And also I think that, however, we don't know who we are till we know who we are. And, that's what I'd like to say, is that Verna is very an open and honest character, because she's not doing it, I think, out of a sense of just power. She's literally like saying, over there is where paradise is. We're going to meet. I'm going to see my sister. I'm going to make sense out of this. I'm going to come back to something because you've taken everything away from me, and I'm determined to get there. And then you just go like bang out of a cannon, and you follow that, because that's what he wanted. And so, that's where I was going. That's where I was going with her.
Enver, I'm very curious about what did you love about playing Clark, and what was it like finding out the script of episode 9, and without talking specifically, finding out what might be happening or what would be happening?
Simon was very very nice to let me know that it was coming. I have heard actors say that they opened a script and they found out that way, and it was luckily Listen, the way I approach it is I really felt personally that this was Gol's storyline. You know what I mean? And that my character was there in order to reveal something about Gol. And in the way I tried to approach it was how can I what the choices that I'm making, what does it reveal about Gol, right? And her journey, right? Because in my interpretation of it, this was Gol's storyline, and it was about trust. Could she trust again? You know what I mean? And I felt pretty confident that I was not going to be back for this season. I was very thrilled to know that I had another season because I felt like we'd told that story for her character, pretty well. And then it was really interesting. What I loved about this season is, you get this happily ever after, movie's over. And this season kind of was like, nope, you're still married, right? Like what do you do now? Right. And now we're 2 years later. And then, what is going on in the story is that, these aliens are metastasizing. Seems nice. Everything seems okay, but something's under the surface, right? Same thing in their marriage, right? And these two people who are who seem to be doing well, there's something that is. My feeling was their character defect was actually agreeability, right? They wanted so badly to be stable with each other that they didn't have respectful conflict with each other. And as happens so many times in a marriage, once things hit the fan, it's not a good time to work on your communication style, right? It's not a great time to be like, maybe I have attachment style issues. That's when actually everything's falling apart. And so what I loved about this season is like, let's just watch these two characters try to build the airplane while it's falling out of the sky, right? They're running, they're trying to stay alive, they're fighting aliens, they're trying to get back to their kids, but also they don't even know if there's something to get back to. They don't even know if there's a thing there. And they're both, I thought it was so beautiful, they're both kind of really nice people, like too nice. If they would just argue, if they would just yell at each other and get it out. But there's something about trying to create stability to the point of being dishonest with yourself and ultimately almost like ending up in a lie with your partner. And I feel like they ended up in a lie with each other without even intending it. And that moment at the end where they look at each other and they're like mystified. Like, what happened, And that's dishonesty with themselves. They couldn't be honest with themselves. And then what I find lovely about the ending of that storyline is they do get honest with each other and they think it's over, right? They're this moment they've been avoiding is just being truthful with each other. They do it. And then he feels like he's lost her. And then they're like, actually, we're stronger. We're stronger now. And then gets his brains blown out. Great storytelling, because where does Gol have to go from here, right? Now, where is Gol's character going? And I think it had to happen,
So I've gone a little long. I know that everyone, I want to do the poster signing. I just have a few last quick questions, if you guys don't mind. Anyway, what do you want to tease about the finale?
I think things come very full circle for a lot of the characters. I would say maybe that's especially true for Travante. And I would say a lot of our main characters have to face their worst fears in the season finale.
Okay, it's a nice tease. So one of the things I'm so curious about designing I believe it's the Apex aliens, and talk a little bit about how you guys figured out designing, and also what I'm curious about is when you see a crystal clear alien, it doesn't seem as mean as when you're looking at like a dark alien.
Yeah.
And so why is that?
By design. I don't know what in our brain is why, but I know that it was something we talked a lot about, was that this season we wanted to create the sort of the actual aliens, that the fully intelligent life version of the aliens, whereas actually in previous seasons we always talked about those other aliens as sort of bioengineered aliens. And I didn't want them to just look scary. Obviously, I feel like everybody's been ripping off Ridley's Alien for so long. That you can make a scarier looking alien. I wanted it to feel ethereal and kind of beautiful and almost like mesmerizing, like you'd lean toward it, even though it was dangerous. And I wanted it to be something that the audience, and specifically Mitski's character, but the audience could actually empathize with, that we'd give them like all these characters in the show, we'd give the aliens some humanity as well. And one just quick thing I want to say, and it's just like so cool sitting here talking with, listening to these guys, because we haven't done many things like this for the show. And the having worked in science fiction a lot, the true secret sauce, and it's not so secret, special sauce of this show is the actors. And the care and thought you've heard tonight and you've seen on the episodes they bring to each one of the characters is what makes this show special and unique and human, and I think makes people really committed to it, not because of the action and the spinning cars and the explosions and the things that you can find in a lot of other places. And sometimes you can find it bigger and louder and faster in other places. I think it's actually the patience and the care with which they approach their characters. Like they could be sitting up here talking about, a Peter Brook play. It's the same level of thoughtfulness, and yet there are explosions and aliens and imaginary nonsense happening around them. And so it's been cool just sitting up here and listening to them talk about it.
Yeah, I think I can speak for the audience. Like everything has explosions. The reason you watch a show like this is for the characters. So something else I wanted to ask, and I know I'm running out of time. I pulled this from press notes. To showcase the horror the characters experience when the aliens manipulate their minds, cinematographer John Joffin employed Lens Baby, a line of special camera lenses. Lens Baby combines a simple lens with a bellow or ball and socket mechanism in special effect photography to highlight special areas of an image. Talk a little bit about this, if anyone can.
I mean, it is what you just described it, which is that you can play with the frame so that your eye goes to certain things in the frame. It's not everything's as sort of 2D, 3D as a normal image would be. And so it's like old diopter style photography where 50, 60 years ago with actual film cameras that just used to swing a sort of gauzy lens in front of the actual lens, and it would make your eye go to certain parts of the frame without you even necessarily being conscious of why.
For down the line here, you guys are up here and you're the face of Invasion tonight, but there are so many people behind the scenes that make this show what it is. So for each of you, can you sort of pull a name or like an unsung hero that you want to shine a light on from the crew or somebody who works on the show that you just want to say, give them a shout out?
Audrey Chons was in the audience already. Shout out Audrey, our producer as well. David Witz. I think, David Witz, me personally, he's one of our producers, but he really is a Tetris master for my schedule, at least. He was so gracious of just making sure that not just myself, with a lot of the actors, that we still were able to be there for our families and have other responsibilities, because this is a very demanding show, filming all over the world for long periods of time. So shout out David Witz for just always making sure the ship was moving towards that North Star, pun intended.
I mean, you said it perfectly. I've been treated so well on this show from A to Z. And I always find that comes from the top. It's like, who's the showrunner? Do they really like the talent? Do they really love working with actors? And then everybody that hire from there on down. And so, man, I've just cannot think of an interaction in all of these years that I've been on the show that was unpleasant. We just got taken care of so well.
I had a ball in hair and makeup. That was like a fantastic, fun place to be, have fun. The PAs don't get enough shout out.
That's true.
They are there so early, standing there, knocking at your door, just and always, ready to help, from the simplest bottle of water to whatever you need, and just staying on their feet. So I just really love them, and set is a really wonderful place to be. It's where I've grown up my entire life. If you ever get a chance to visit one, you probably want to never come back because they're boring. They're boring. But to me, it's where we live. It's where we learn. It's where we love. It's where we figure things out and maybe even struggle a bit. You come to a set and you're not ready sometime in your life for maybe this challenge right at that moment. And yet, if you're called, it's the exact thing you need at that moment in order to get over. And so I'm always game for that, and realizing again, over and over again, that I've been chosen like a lotto winner to do something that we all need to do, which is to tell stories. And so I got to give a shout out also to Gaul, who was so wonderful to me, and Shioli and India, and all of them. I just, again, I learned so much. There's such beautiful presence and elegance about these performers, and quietness. And so it's always interesting because a showrunner will choose, his cast, and you wonder why you're in there, and then you see them all, and I said, I must have something in common with them. And since I love them so much, then that's a great thing. And so I'm, glad to be in the mix, I gotta say. But, shout out to all of them. And again, to the people who were in that rain and, every day and never complain. Thank you so much.
Easy one for me is the writer's room. There's just a ton of writers that work on this show. And by a ton, I mean 5 or 6 of us sitting there for months and months and months at a time, coming up with an idea that we think is brilliant and running it down for a week and then throwing it away in a day and starting over. It's a different type of tireless and exhausting. It's not being out in the rain, but it's sitting around eating bad food and spending 7-8 hours to go nowhere, but you actually realize you went to the place you needed to go in order to actually crack the thing the next day. And the faith that you need to have when you're a writer, especially when you're creating something that's, this many hours of storytelling, that faith is something that is easier when you have other people around you who are as blindly insane as you are.
My last question is going to go to Simon. It's an individual. You wrote a screenplay called Here Comes the Flood, which films later this year, I guess. What can you tease people about it? And do you want to maybe mention the small stars that are in the movie?
Sure. It's completely unrelated to Invasion, so I apologize.
Completely different thing.
That's why I'm in New York. It's a movie I wrote. It's actually, other than Invasion, it's the first original thing that I've written in a long time, because I went down the rabbit hole of remakes and adaptations and a lot of other things as a writer. It's a original heist movie, and it stars Denzel Washington and Rob Pattinson and Daisy Edgar Jones. And so we start filming that in Jersey this month.
Yeah, no one you've heard of. A huge round of applause, and thank you to you guys for doing this Q&A tonight.